Hello. She's back. She's freshly freckled, better than ever, but living her best life. But, well, I was. But we need to talk about Mexico. Hey y'all, what's up? It's Coach Mara. Welcome back. If you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Mara. I am a volleyball coach and a business student, but recently I have been traveling, and because of everyone's favorite pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, traveling wasn't in the cards for the past little while, so I've taken the opportunity when I could. I went to Ucluelet last summer, and then I went on spring break for Americans are watching. Canadians, it's reading break in university. I spent reading break in Mexico with my best friend. So, yeah. You guys know me, and if you don't know me, hi, please subscribe, welcome, stay a while, learn about volleyball, and occasionally see me travel places. I went with my best friend. Her name is Megan. This is Megan. We've been best friends since grade 10, but we've known each other since grade 8. It's a long story, but it's like basically 6 years we've been best friends. Normally there are 4 in this dynamic duo here. So there's Megan and I who live in our hometown, and then there are the other 2, which are Liv and Ellie, or Olivia and Ellie. Ellie lives in Ireland, and she's a med student, kicking ass, taking names kind of situation. So she's over there right now, and Olivia was in Malta doing med school over there, but she recently just came back. So that's our full dynamic group, if you will. But they were overseas, and Megan and I were like, you know what, let's take reading break and let's go visit them, because that would be fun. Yeah, later we figured out, like, obviously that's not gonna work because A, super expensive, B, we only had a week, because reading break is 1 week, which is dumb. So we're like, okay, we're gonna spend like $2,000 Canadian, like flying over there just to spend like 2 days in one spot and then coming back on another plane. Like, that sounds not so fun and kind of a waste of money. So we were thinking about it, and her mom actually gave us the idea. She's like, why don't you guys just go to Mexico and have fun? So that's exactly what we did. We went to Cancun for 6 days at an all-inclusive. We did not go with our families. We did not go with a group of friends. It was just her and I braving the world together. Just for some context, I've never been to Mexico up until this point, but I did take a semester of a Spanish class, and I used to know Spanish when I was a kid, but I kind of lost it. So I took a Spanish class recently, and then we decided to go on our vacation, and Megan had taken Spanish, so she was more well-versed. She was more fluent than I was. But she had been to Mexico many times, so she was kind of my like touch point for what to expect, what not to expect. Let's start at the beginning. So we started our journey from Vancouver International Airport, because we are Canadian. Because I know a bunch of you guys are American, and you're like, why wouldn't you just fly super cheap? And it's like, it's not exactly super cheap, but it's cheaper than going to Malta, for instance. Anyways, so we started in Vancouver, and we had almost a direct flight. We had one layover in Mexico City. I'm going on record and saying I do not like the Mexico City airport. Benito Juarez International Airport, freaking terrible, in my opinion. It's like there's no windows, and then the windows that are there, they're like this big, and it's not an enjoyable experience. It was probably because I had not so enjoyable experiences while I was in there, but that's irrelevant to the story. So we had a layover in Mexico City, and then we had a direct flight to Cancun from there. When we were flying over Cancun, It was kind of surreal. It was like, you know, you always see it in movies, and you always remember, I've never been to Mexico. Those of you that have been to Mexico be like, oh yeah, it's not a big deal. To me, I've never been. Okay, it's a big deal. So in movies, you always see, like, whenever they talk about Mexico or Florida or the Keys, they show you these like super large aerial shots looking down at the water, and it's like turquoise blue meets darker blue meets like deep, deep, deep ocean blue. I live on the west coast of Canada, okay? I'm only used to like one blue, which is dark blue for the ocean, which I love, don't get me wrong, I love that. But when I was on the plane going towards Cancun, we had to fly over the Gulf of Mexico, I think. I have no idea where we were. Wasn't looking at the map at the time, but I'm assuming it's the Gulf of Mexico. And it was just a surreal moment where I was like, holy shit. Excuse me. This is actually happening. Because we'd been talking about going on a trip for so long, it just felt like, no, we're not actually doing this. And then I saw it and I was like, holy shit, we're actually doing this. It was chaotic, beautiful, amazing. And then we landed in Cancun and it was so warm. And as you guys know, I have red hair, okay? I have red hair, I have fair skin, I have freckles. Like, hot climates aren't normally my friend. This climate was my friend for the most part. I did get a little burnt, but actually not as bad as I thought I would. We land in Cancun, we take a shuttle to our hotel, and it's right on the beach. It was beautiful. It was a first floor room looking right over to the ocean. There were some villas in front of us, but that was for like, we were on the first level of the like big stack hotel, but then there were villas that were like right onto the ocean. And it was great. There was a private beach. It had a beach volleyball court. I used thoroughly. It was a dream. So when we got there, the sun was setting. It was beautiful. We got dinner. That was the first night. It was kind of relaxed from there. For the next like 3 days after that, we spent all of our time at the beach. It was lovely. We went to the beach, we hung out, we listened to music, we went in the ocean, Megan more so than me, because again, curly hair, salt water doesn't like curly hair, or curly hair doesn't like salt water. Anyways, we went to the beach and it was surreal. It was the most relaxed I think I've ever been on a vacation. We lounged on the beach, we drank margaritas, oh my god. Canada, nobody knows how to make a margarita in Canada, okay? But yeah, the first few days, we were just on the beach. And every day, we would play beach volleyball. And if you know me, like in my personal life, you know I don't love beach volleyball. Like if I were to compare like beach volleyball versus indoor volleyball, I'll always pick indoor because that's the way I learned, first and foremostly. And I just enjoy it more because I'm not worried about like getting burnt and being... Because remember, I'm redhead, I get burnt really easily, and a lot of time in the direct sun with no shade. No bueno for me. So I normally don't prefer it. But the hotel, they had a court, they had balls, and there was always people playing. So I was like, you know what? I'm in this beautiful place. I am in college. I'm by myself with my best friend. Like, why don't I just put myself out there, go play beach volleyball, have a fun time, and just bond with people that I don't know and make friends. So that's exactly what we did. I remember we had this conversation. Megan and I were on beach chairs, and she was like, I'm gonna go in the ocean, okay? And I was like, okay, great. She goes into the ocean. She comes back. I'm like, hey, I'm thinking I'm gonna like go play beach volleyball because I think I saw someone over there with a ball, and the net's already set up. So I think I'll just go and play for a bit, like 10 minutes. And she's like, oh, okay, sounds good. And so she stayed with our stuff, and I went over there and started playing, and I obviously must have like lost track of what time was, because next thing I know, I see Megan, she's come over to me to like where I was playing. I was on the court, and she was like, Mara, how are you doing? And I'm like, I'm doing great, we're winning. And the other side was like trash talking me because there were a few Americans and there was a clash, but it's okay. Friendly competition. And Megan started to take photos of me. You can see there's like one of the guys from my team like watching me serve. It's kind of funny. Again, beach volleyball, not my strong suit. But I had a lot of fun. It was really, really, really fun. And I met a lot of really nice people through there, most of which were American and South American. So that was the second day and third-ish day. The night of the second day, though, I didn't film any of this because I was absolutely mortified, and it's just imprinted on my brain. The second night we were there, I was coming out of the shower because I felt disgusting because sunscreen gets sticky, you know? So I came out of the shower and I was feeling good, feeling relaxed, nice and tired because, you know, on the beach all day you get nice and tired. So I came out of the shower and I saw something move on the ground. And I was like, no. What the hell is that? And I kind of peered around my bed, because of course it was on my bed. We had two beds. Of course it was near my bed. It wasn't near Megan's. And Megan's had, like, she had her AirPods in and listening to music or whatever. And I don't even remember. I must have blacked out in this moment. Because all I remember was looking around my bed and seeing, like, this freaking massive, like, this big cockroach. This big on the floor. I freak out. I'm like wrapped in a towel. I'm on the bed and I've jumped on the bed and I'm like, ah! And Megan looks at me like I've just died and she's like, what's going on? I was like, there's a cockroach on the floor right by my bed. She's like, no, you're kidding. Come on, there can't be a cockroach. I was like, no, I wouldn't joke about this. It's like, I'm not very good with words when I'm freaked out. And one of my big fears in life is like confined spaces, like super confined spaces, and bugs. Like, just bugs, not snakes. Snakes I'm fine. Bugs though, like cockroaches, spiders. Get me out of here. So I was freaking out. And Megan is a STEM. She is a woman in STEM. Bunsen burner. So she was kind of like designated like the point person. She was also very scared, she later told me. But she was our point person for kind of capturing this bug. Meantime, it's like 1 a.m., okay? There is no one at the front desk. There's no one on staff. There's no one anywhere in the hotel. So it's literally just us. Megan spends an hour hunting this thing. And just around the room. And I think the reason it came in is because we had sour Skittles. Because I love sour Skittles. We had them out. And I think that was what attracted it, but it was so funny because I was under the covers because I was like, cockroaches wouldn't come into the bed. That would be weird. So I was like, somehow felt safer. I was under the covers, paralyzed with fear, and Megan was hunting this thing around, trying to trap it under a glass. And she was close. She was close a few times. And those of you that have ever encountered a cockroach, you know, those buggers are freaking fast. And you see it 1 minute, and then you're like, okay, it obviously went that way. And then you go to where you think it ended up, and it like disappeared. It's gone. So it was like crawling underneath furniture with like this much room underneath it. Like, wild shit. It's like, why is this thing even alive? Why do they even exist, kind of thing. So Megan was our point man, so I was the ideas person, obviously, because I was paralyzed with fear, but you best believe I can still have good ideas. So I was like, okay, how do we get rid of this thing? There's no one to help us. We can't call housekeeping. We can't call the front desk. Like, how do we deal with this? So I came up with the glass. I was like, okay, maybe we can trap it. So Megan tried and not very successful. And then I remembered, like a genius, I had like a travel size spray, like aerosol spray of Lysol, which is like Lysol disinfectant is like 100% alcohol. So I was like, okay, worst case scenario, these things can't die from an atomic bomb. So I didn't think this would kill it. I just thought it would paralyze it enough so that Megan could trap it, put a glass over it, so then we could regroup tomorrow morning or the next morning. So I tell her, I'm like, Megan, go into my bag, go grab it, because it was across the room and I wasn't getting up. I was like, go grab it and try and spray it, so then it can be immobilized, and then you can like put a glass over it. And she's like, oh, okay, that's a good idea. So she somehow manages to confine the cockroach in like a little corner of the closet, and she sprays it like 5 times. Granted, the bottle was full by the time this started. I like shook the bottle once everything had happened. It was like there was this much left. So Megan sprays it like 50 times. And she's like, I think it's slowing down. I don't think it's dying, but I think it's slowing down. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Put a glass over it, like trap it. And she was like, oh, I don't know. I think it's dead though. I think we're okay. And I'm like, what do you mean? No. Just like put something over it so it doesn't move. And she did not listen to me, but that's okay. We decided to like seal off all of the spots it could go underneath that we could get to. There was a part that was locked that we couldn't get to, but we're like, okay, put it underneath the door jambs and underneath the cabinet so it can't go underneath the closet and escape. We want to keep it in one spot. And she was like, okay, I got this. So she did that like a queen, my hero. Then everything kind of stopped. We didn't hear anything for a while. Then we heard like this sound. I was like, what the frick is that? And turns out, I didn't know this, because obviously I wouldn't know this. I didn't know that cockroaches clean themselves, but they do. You know why? Because that sound was it clicking its, like, I don't know, its back or something, trying to clean itself of the alcohol that was on it. And it made the most disgusting sound. And I was ready to like lose my shit. Megan, on the other hand, was like, okay, problem solved. I'm going to bed. Good night, Mara. She's like, I can't do anything about it. It's obviously paralyzed in that one spot, so I'm going to go to bed. I stayed up for an extra hour because I couldn't like unhear it. It was like, it was so disgusting. I couldn't do it. Next morning, it was basically dead. Thank God. So Megan like put a sheet of paper underneath it and put a glass over it, put a sheet of paper, and then like chucked it outside. We swiftly went to the front desk and told them, you need to deep clean our floors of our room. Please and thank you. And they looked at us like we'd lost our minds. Like, why is this a big deal? It was a very interesting experience. So that was day 2. And then we went to the beach again the next day, and we were just hanging out. I was playing beach volleyball. Megan actually joined, and Megan does not play volleyball, like, at all. But she played in in high school PE. But she was fantastic. She did a great job. And so we played against each other, which was fun. And we met some really cool people. We met some Americans that are from Massachusetts, and we got to talking and having a good time. And we decided to hang out. But then it was getting late and they wanted to go clubbing. And Megan and I were like, if we go clubbing and we get COVID, we can't get back into Canada. So yeah, because in Canada at that time, it was like, if you got COVID and you were tested positive, you had to stay in the place that you were. You couldn't come back home. And we had university, we had finals, we had things we had to do, like, when we got back. So we're like, no, we can't do this. So we stayed home, did all that, stayed in the room, and Megan got me addicted to Love is Blind. Great premise for a show, might I add. So we watched that and had a lovely evening. Next day we went to the pool. We met some more people that were also from the States. Just met so many people. Everyone was so fascinated that we were Canadians. They were just so interested. They were like, oh, that's so interesting. I guess people don't really have a lot of run-ins with Canadians over there. I don't know. It was very odd. Very odd, but whatever. We meet some more people, we play some more beach volleyball, I meet some more people, and it was great. And then that day we met up with people that were from Massachusetts, and they were like, hey, we're planning on going out to dinner, do you guys want to come with? And Megan and I were like kind of bored, not really doing much, so we're like, yeah, let's go. That sounds fun. And they were like, okay, so we're gonna go to this restaurant, it's like not too far from the hotel. At this point, Megan and I haven't left the hotel yet. So we're like, okay, great, let's go. And so we go to this little restaurant in like a tourist shopping center, but it was a legitimate Mexican restaurant, like legit. And it was probably the most delicious Mexican food I've ever had in my life. I don't think I've said this on here yet, but after my degree that I'm doing now, I want to do eventually culinary school. So I'm always interested in trying stuff. So when I went there, one of the people that were in that big group from Massachusetts, he was really nice, and he was also like really interested in food. So he and I got on, and we started talking about all of this cultural resonance with calling things different names, like a flat top grill in America, which he was used to, is called a plancha in Mexico. It's a little smaller, but it's basically like a flat top grill. So he and I had a great time. We were chatting back and forth. I had the most fantastic corn tortilla tacos. Mwah. They were al pastor and they were delicious. And that was the night Megan and I discovered tamarind margaritas. Delicious. Wow. So, so good. It was like salty, sour, sweet, spicy, alcohol, delicious. So that was lovely. And there were probably 7 of us, and it was like maybe $60 for all of us to eat. And we all had drinks, and we all had appetizers, and we all had main courses. So it was pretty cool. And it was right by the water, so our table was like outside of the restaurant technically, but they were still serving us. It was weird. But then you'd walk like 20 feet that way, or to the right, I should say, and there's a pier, and there were boats and the ocean, and we watched the sunset. It was beautiful. And so then we walked around this like mall thing for a while, got some ice cream, there was a band playing, and then we went back to the hotel, la-da-da-da-da. It was great. I am filming this, yes, not in my normal space, and yes, I just did it because the lighting's really good and my hair looks good today, and these are a lot of extraneous details that you don't need. I am here to close this video today because while I was editing it with all the footage and I talked a lot, I realized it would just be easier to make it into 2 parts. So I did film an outro in this video. You'll see it in the next one in part 2. So make sure to stay tuned for that. But thank you guys so much for watching if you haven't already. And I'll see you all in the next one. Good job, team.